What's up, everybody? It's Friday night, 9 o'clock Central, and we are here from the forum talking about rebuilding dynasty fantasy football teams. Hope you're ready. We got a good one for you. Let's go. Let's go. It's a great night. Friday, we're always here. I got Joe the Man Frick wearing the shades, got the chain around his neck, and I got two degenerate guys in this show tonight. I'm talking about the guys that are in the darkness, pulling off the craziest trades you've ever seen in leagues, trying to rebuild teams. And Jack, I've always commended you in your ability to take a mediocre team and make them a juggernaut. And so, just real quick before we get into it and we start getting into tonight's show, just introduce yourself, where people can find your content, and then we'll get to it. Go ahead, Sam.
I'm SamWise. You can call me Sam. It's buy and sell you on Twitter. I write and edit for Player Profiler and Fast Draft, and you can find us, all over the place on there. Fast Draft is really taken off, so that's a lot of fun.
Awesome, Jack.
Well, Tyler, you buried the lead because I am the reigning, defending, ultimate death row dynasty champion this year. Finally, the title is where it belongs. Unfortunately, the trophy did not make it in full form all the way up to Canada. But as far as my content, the dust is settling on my life. We're moving in a month. Things are looking good. So new best ball content coming probably mid to late July. Until then, you can find all the old stuff at the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube.
Love it. The Worst Sports Channel. So if you want the worst advice from the worst guy on the planet, he's right there. No,
Hey, you might have to go the worst to first. That's what I'm hearing.
But he's champ.
Look.
Champ. The champ is here.
The champ is, look, I've been in a league. Me and Jack have been in a league together for some years now, and it has bounced around. I won last season, and we get in this year, and Jack took me out in the championships. Had an absolute killer season. So props to you, Jack. I will admit defeat when defeat happens. But tonight we are talking about rebuilding dynasty teams, which is actually something I personally am not a huge expert on. I am like one of those build massive teams, build depth, and Jack will tell you in any league that I'm in, typically I've got a deep squad, and when everybody else is hurt, I still have studs that I'm pulling up and playing, but it takes a lot of movement. But I commend these people that come in and they take over an orphan team that's struggling, that doesn't have much, and they trade off assets and they move things around. And there's key strategy to that completely changes the game, right? Like that can take somebody really quickly. And I've seen it happen numerous times from that worst to first dynamic. And you're going, how's this team ever going to get to where they need to be? And it happens, so that's tonight's show. That's what we're going to be talking about. So if you are in a dynasty rebuild, drop your questions. If you have veterans you're thinking about trading, if you have rookies that you want to go get, if you're trying to get draft picks, like drop your questions in the chat. We're happy to help. We got Albert in the chat. What's up? Thanks for coming in, Albert. So, just kind of going in for the viewers, Sam, in just theory, like if you could give a one sentence essential like theory when you go in and you take over a rebuild, what is what's the priority take? Like when you take over that team, what's the first thing that you're trying to do?
Well, the first thing is, when I play fantasy football, I want to have fun playing fantasy football. So not only do I just think about it in a business sense of just doing a tear down and having a fire sale. But I'll also do it with players that might even be younger who I just don't like. You know what I mean? And if you're able to be honest about that, then you can get capital for those kind of guys. People were like, why are you trading him? He's 22 years old. And I'm like, I don't like him. Or you don't see a future for him when other people do. But I always liken it to the story about that guy, or maybe there's several stories that starts with a paperclip, and in 3 years he buys like a mansion.
Oh, you're a red paperclip guy. Oh man.
We got BHS Cardinal. I have like 3 builds. Lord help me. 3 rebuilds. Lord help me. Jack, for you, he's a red paperclip guy. What's your strategy? And I know it's really different than most, which is why I think it's really cool that we're going to have you both on the show, because we're going to get some very different perspectives. What's the thing that you go in when you're talking about dynasty rebuilds that you're thinking?
Yeah, I'm definitely what I would call a dynasty contrarian in a lot of ways. But kind of to Sam's point, and I think he touched on it inadvertently. There's 2 points I really want to make here. One is that I think dynasty is getting more popular, but still should be used as a less is more approach. I found myself being in too many dynasty leagues and having to find my way out of those dynasty leagues was, challenging. Even there was one this year, I wasn't in the middle of a rebuild. Let's say we're year 2 on the rebuild, but the team had BTJ, Marvin Harrison Jr., a lot of good assets, full draft picks. And the commissioner was just very wishy-washy, like just kind of wasn't following up on things the way that he should be. And, Tyler, credit to you. Like, you took over Death Row Dynasty. That league is what it is today because of the commitment that you have as a commissioner. I think that's really important when you're getting into these dynasty leagues. It's like, it's not even necessarily about, it's like, oh, it's great if everyone in the league is friends and there's a good dynamic. None of that actually matters at the end of the day if the commish sucks. So I think really, like, less is more. Focus on finding really good dynasty commissioners, because it takes such commitment and effort to actually maintain these leagues and like make them good for many years. And then once you are in one of those leagues, and especially if you have to take over an orphan to get into one of those leagues, youth isn't everything, value is. And Sam kind of touched on it. When you get in a league, you got to kind of figure out your league mates. Sam might not like a certain player that I like, that's young, that fits my There's those kind of dynamics that you need to figure out in terms of your league mates. But then also not just coming in and being like, oh my God, I've got Derrick Henry and I've got to immediately trade him. Like, guys like that are old but like still have value. Don't be so feeling like you got to tear down the whole entire team because you just got there. Maybe even like give yourself, I always say, like, never trade just to trade. So like maybe give yourself even a little bit of time with the roster before you make any kind of real big moves, and really kind of assess like where you're going to go with this team. And like, because a lot of times what happens is you come in fresh to one of these leagues and it's literally chum in the water, and all the other dynasty managers are like, oh yeah, time to send this guy a bunch of crappy trade offers.
What's really funny is every time we add a new person to a league, usually we'll add them, and then within probably 24 to 48 hours, I've done a trade that may be considered murder. And then the league is like, ah,
But you're the problem.
Look, here's the thing, okay? In Dynasty, if you want to build an amazing team, timing is everything. Like, I mean, timing is everything. Narratives, ups. It's like working the stock market, and I mentioned that because here we go. Like, we've got a question in the chat. BHS Cardinal says, Kyle Pitts, hold or sell? And Kyle Pitts has fallen off the radar. He's fallen deep in redrafts. He's fallen deep in best ball. I've seen him being traded away for a third, second round picks, and the value that he was, which was essentially a top 3 dynasty pick, is not there.
He was Bowers a couple years ago, basically,
right,
without the production.
So the value, so then, he basically falls. And so now I can't trade Pitts because I'm not going to get the value out of him. Well, now there's this narrative, right? There's this narrative that, Michael Penix is going to revive Pitts. Like, he is the guy that's going to air out the ball, and Pitts' destiny is going to change, right? So you have to decide as a dynasty owner if this player actually merits the consideration. Like, if you believe in this player, because if you believe in that player, you hold him. But if you don't, his value now has lifted because of this narrative. So if you are going to sell him now, because if you get 3 to 4 weeks into the season and he does the same old Kyle Pitts stuff and doesn't perform, then boom, you lost your opportunity. And so that timing piece is huge. Like Derrick Henry, like everybody's like, let fire sale, right? Like, he's older. Well, then he gets a contract extension. Oh, so now you can lock onto the fact that he's got multiple years of left in him. Even George Kittle's another example. Like, gets this late in career contract that says, oh, he's going to be relevant. So then if you're in a rebuild, now it's time to sell him. Same thing. You don't trade for picks at draft time unless you want to pay out the yin yang for them. You trade for picks during the season when people don't care about picks. And then you trade your picks away during the draft to get massive talent. Like, these are rebuild strategies, and it's all surrounded around timing. We got Mr. Grapefruit in the chat. Does SamWise have a favorite late tight end? Do you have somebody that's your favorite, Sam?
The rookie in Los Angeles, Ferguson. You pull somebody, I mean, he might not have the measurables of some of the other tight ends in the draft, but you're telling me that you're going to pull a guy from college that was good enough to get drafted and give him to Matt Stafford as a starter in his first year?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, what could possibly go wrong? Famous last words.
Famous last words. No, I mean, I like that pick. And you are getting them late. There's a lot of good late tight ends. And the thing about tight ends is when you draft a tight end, you don't ever draft them, I feel like, for immediate production unless you're paying like first round capital, and then you still may not get it. Like tight ends in that position take time to develop. So if you have somebody that you believe in their talent, just give them just a little bit of time before you sell them off or drop them like they're mincemeat, right? Like they will evolve. We see it. I mean, it took lots of these players time to get going.
Some of the best tight ends in the league are like already over 30. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you look at Tyler Warren. Even in college, it took him so long to get going, and then now we're talking about him in his final year in college, like he's the end all be all, and he might be, and he's getting that first round draft capital. So, anyways, kind of moving along in the segment here, we're going to get into players that are tradeaways, right? Like right now, if I'm in a rebuild, like today, we talk about timing. Are there any players that have those narratives, right, that have some kind of significantly positive outlook, or the value so high with them that you're like, this is my number one in a rebuild, I'm trying to trade this player away? Go ahead and start us off, Jack.
I think
sorry, go ahead.
Because this is a very contrarian take again, because it's a rookie. And it's an old rookie. And he's got so much hype right now that a trade just went down today in my 10-man Dynasty League. Tyler's familiar with Matt Yeager. He runs that league that I'm in. And so the trade was JSN Nico and a 2026 third for Malik Neighbors and RJ Harvey and a 2026 second. And RJ Harvey right now, the value on RJ Harvey, I think, is insane. He's being valued the same way as like Quinshawn Judkins and Caleb Johnson and all these guys. Like RJ Harvey is already 24 years old. If you are a rebuilding team and you drafted RJ Harvey, I would already be going and looking at some of these contender teams that are lacking RBs and looking to make a similar trade to what I just said. Originally, when he asked me about the trade, he asked, would you take JSN and BTJ for Neighbors and RJ Harvey? And I was like, all day, every day. People are really enamored with RJ Harvey, acting like this guy's about to be the next Alvin Kamara. I'm sorry, but I don't see it. He's a nice little running back. He's 5'8", 205. He ran a 4.4. This man has modest burst and elusivity. This is not an Alvin Kamara type running back at all. The pass catching skills even, I think, are being overrated. And I really don't think that he's just walking in. I think people are really overlooking Jaleel McLaughlin and Audric Estime and how they're going to be used in this backfield. I don't think RJ Harvey is just coming in and taking 80% of the snap shares. And if he cracks off an amazing, he would literally have to crack off like a Phillip Lindsay type rookie season to maximize the value that he already has seemingly in ADP right now in terms of best ball and how he's being valued in Dynasty. So I'm looking at this if this guy comes out and has a mid-season, his value is going to completely fall off a cliff. So if I can take this 24-year-old, he went in the second round, but at the back of the second round, he was practically a day 3 pick. If I could take this guy and a wide receiver and make a package where I'm getting, again, a JSN and a Nico, a JSN and a BTJ, or some type of 2 wide receiver, again, you're going to have to make a package deal to get this done. But RJ Harvey's value right now might be as high as it ever is going to be in his NFL career. And again, if you're a rebuilding team, and especially if you're rebuilding, you're like, I'm 2 years away. In 2 years, he's going to be 26. So it's I would much rather have pretty much any decent wide receiver that's 22, 23 versus RJ Harvey. So that's where I'm I would trade this guy right now because I really think the way he's being valued. And again, shout out to Dynasty Zoltan had put out a poll on Twitter asking who would you rather have in Dynasty right now, RJ Harvey or Kyron Williams. And the vote was a lot closer than you would think. It was 45% RJ Harvey, 55% Kyron Williams. Kyron Williams is only 6 months older than RJ Harvey is. So what are we doing here? Again, this might be the highest value you ever get on this guy.
I mean, that's a hot take because a lot of people are really high on RJ Harvey, but the age is there. We got a couple people popping in the chat. Dynasty Donalds over on X and Pete Terranova. Thanks for tuning in. What's up, man? It's a strong take, but that is one of the things. When you talk about a rebuild team, if you had those rookie picks and you didn't trade it away and you took an RJ Harvey and somebody comes knocking on your door and that's who they want or that's who they missed in the draft or the narrative hype grows on because RJ Harvey is one of those prospects where he started the beginning of this conversation. When he first, we're talking about a 3rd round pick. Right, we're talking about a 3rd round rookie pick, and then it elevated. Then the draft landing spot happened, and it elevated, and now I'm seeing RJ Harvey go RB3, RB3 in rookie drafts. So that kind of, and sometimes that's part of it, right? Just the fact that you may get superior value. So love that take. Definitely interesting. Look at Sam getting some love. Sam legend, a lot of legends here, but Sam may be the top. Man, look at all that. Appreciate you being on the show, Sam.
Oh, so stop it, Pete.
Who's one for you, Sam? Give me a sell.
I'm gonna do it, but I have to talk about RJ Harvey. Can I do that?
You can do that.
I'm not going to sit here and just pick on Jack, but I disagree with a lot of points here. Not that this might be the highest his value is, and not that we're making him better than he actually is. I agree 100%. It's the Sean Payton factor is part of the reason everybody values him so high. And I don't think people are discounting Jaleel and Estimate too much, because Sean Payton like handpicked RJ Harvey. Like that was his dude. You know what I mean? And that says a lot when a coach does that. So I do think he's going to walk right in and start. Will he share carries? Yes. The only other thing I'll mention, and this is just a general idea, is that, you know, a lot of kids are coming out of school older and older. And so I think it's time to be careful about pointing at their age and look more at the miles. You know, RJ Harvey carried the ball, I don't know, 550 times over 4 years in college. I mean, 300 is a big year in the NFL. So, you know, it's not like he's going to just run out of gas at halfway through his next season. You know what I mean? But that goes for everybody. I think you need to take that into account for everybody. And I'll mention that about somebody later too. But okay, so you said give you one. Usually I'm a proponent at this point, after the draft has gone by, of not selling until somebody sticks out like a sore thumb with a need that's near the top of the league. The only time that stops is if you don't want to hurt your draft pick. And so you're anxious to get rid of guys. It's time to sell James Cook as soon as possible. Get him off your rosters. He's not going to have 1,600 or 16 TDs again. He's not going to have 1,200 or whatever it was yards like he had last year. If you look at their schedule, it's going to be tough against the run because they're playing all the first place teams. And Ray Davis has put in a year behind him. He put in his rookie year. He's ready to step up and at least share the load. So I think James Cook's numbers are going to go way down. I think a lot of those touchdowns are going to go to a split between Allen and Ray Davis. And I don't even know what the Bills are thinking about James Cook, because he's asking to be the highest paid running back in the NFL. And I don't think they're really taking too kindly to that, because part of the things that makes him so good is the fact that he's got an MVP in the backfield with him. So I'm selling James Cook right now for anything I can get for him. His value is still up to the mid first to late first, as long as you find the right trade partner. I think late first, end of the day, mid first, if you can get the right guy who is, you know, got a rookie that he's not sure about, but he's going to be sniffing the finish line at the end of the season. And he seems James Cook and his eyes light up.
Yeah, I like Ray Davis. I think Ray Davis is definitely going to eat into that workload. We started to see it more towards the end of the season. I think that's a good sell, and I think the value is there to get what you need for him. We got a comment in the chat. Estime didn't suit up for the playoff game. Jaleel is a one-trick pony. I agree with that. The only thing about your assessment that I would challenge, Sam, is like RJ Harvey did have the miles. Like he had over 200 carries both his last two seasons in a 10-game season. You know, he had over 1,300 yards, right? The last two seasons. Like he put some miles on. I mean, they used him. He was used. But I mean, he still throughout, college averaged over 6 yards a carry, and he is that Sean Payton type. So I think that I think that there is value there. I think that he is a solid play. But the miles and age thing, I could see why that would be a take from Jack, but I could also see why.
Oh yeah, totally. I believe me, I'm glad somebody said it, because it seems like nobody right now is saying the things that Jack just said. Everybody is so in love with him, and I think he's going to be a good player. I'm not saying they're completely wrong, but somebody's got to be like, okay, yeah, but
yeah, no, I get it. And that's kind of that contrarian viewpoint, right? Like sometimes in a rebuild, especially if you take over one where you didn't draft the guys, right? Like sometimes it's these players and that hype level that really create what you want to see. I got another question in the chat. Josh saying, what about Tyrone Tracy? Do y'all think Scatabo is going to ruin his numbers? He had a good rookie season last year. This is a solid question. I'm going to throw this up to you, the fashionable one. Tyrone Tracy, do you think that that's still his job for the Giants, or is Scatabo really a threat? Go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, so I've said this on previous shows. I'm not the biggest Scatabo fan. I think that he has the shiftiness, but the lack of speed and his game-changing ability in college was the ability to break tackles. You're not doing that as easily in the NFL. So I'm not convinced that he's necessarily going to be the guy for the Giants. Does that mean that it qualms all concerns for me about Tyrone Tracy? No. He left a lot of meat on the bone. Yes, the Giants weren't a great team. Yes, he didn't have really a good quarterback situation last year, which is really hurtful for the run game, at least on the ground. It was great for him as a PPR running back because he was just getting dump offs on dump offs. But I think he retains that receiving role. We've seen Scatabo be a decent receiver. So even though he's known as like this bigger back, he does have that receiving prowess. I think the tough part about Tracy is that this is a scenario where the news is negative. So when you're trading him, it's at suppressed value. Scatter's a 4th-round pick. I don't think he's going to come in and supplant it week 1, but he's going to get opportunities if he makes the most of them and is more efficient. Then I don't think it would ever get to like a Bucky Irving situation. But when you have inefficient runners in the NFL, teams are going to try other players to see if they can get more efficient results out of the ground game. And they don't care if you have capital or not. And he was a 5th-round pick as it is. So he's somebody to be worried about. I don't think you can get the value for him in a trade.
Right now, definitely not. Definitely not. I think when you're in a rebuild, best thing to do right now is hope he has one big week right at the beginning of the season, and then you put him on the trade block right away.
Yeah. I do think it was interesting as well about the Denver comment, because Pete's a pretty big Broncos fan. So he probably has good insight on those two guys.
Yeah. So keeping it moving. Look at that. Thanks, Joe. Very fashionable answer. Joe the Man Frick on the scene. So give me another one. And you both we talked about really some young or mid-young players. Are there any older guys right now that still have the hype that are worth really trying to dish off right now in a rebuild?
I do have one, and I'm going to sound like a hater for this, but I don't care. I'm a hater. Justin Fields. So Justin Fields is coming in as the guy for the Giants, and he has like his buddy back in Garrett Wilson. He's going to be a QB1 in fantasy this year. Probably true. I would actually buy that because of his rushing game. But this man has proven time and time again that he is not a franchise quarterback. He's only really committed to for this season. So, one, if you're in a rebuild, you don't want him having these big weeks that make you win games that you don't want to win. And those weeks look good in fantasy, but they're not good in real life. Crazy Justin Fields stat for you. He is 2-28. That is right. 2-28 when his defense gives up 20 or more points. This is a quarterback that averaged 184 yards passing last season. I'm looking for an unproven young receiver. Give me Pretty Ricky Pearsall. They're comparably ranked right now when you look at like different things. Like I was checking out Dynasty Daddy today. Pretty Ricky's pretty close to Justin right now. So he could increase in value if he starts hot. if it doesn't go well and he hits the bench, then you're losing any opportunity that you have. I don't think he's a long-term solution. He's somebody that I'm trying to sell off and get a piece that maybe other people are down on.
Nothing you said is wrong, but he's not old. He's 26.
Yeah, I just think he's out of chances though. For him, it's like if he doesn't do he's not going to get the opportunity to start. This is his last crack at it.
So we got a question in the chat, and I'll throw this one over to you, Sam. I traded Olave for Caleb Johnson in a 1-quarterback dynasty. What do you think?
I'm probably the worst person to ask about this. I hate Olave. I hate him. I mean, he is one diving catch away from being out of the league. So props to you. And Caleb's going to walk right into a starting job. So I think it's a great trade. I would do that 10 times out of 10.
So the interesting thing is we have 2 Pittsburgh Steeler fans in this room.
That's too bad.
Yeah, the fashionable one, which by the way, Big Draft Energy said, Joe, the best fashion statement you can make is walking barefoot in a wintry tundra. And then, but Jack, I know you're a Pittsburgh fan. Is Caleb Johnson the answer? Like, are you excited? Is this the guy they want that they needed? Are you selling Olave, which obviously if you have Olave, you're not doing it for this year because their quarterback conundrum is what it is, but are you selling them for Caleb Johnson?
100%. Even if I was not a Steelers fan, I can remove myself emotionally from being a Steelers fan. Sam said it. Olave is one hit away from being straight done, like retired, like out of the NFL. And, it sucks for him because he's a genuinely talented wide receiver, but sometimes dudes just don't stay healthy. And if I can trade that for Caleb Johnson, absolutely. I mean, in terms of how he fits the Steelers mold, it's going to be annoying because he is going to split with Jaylen Warren, but he's going to basically take over the Najee Harris role from last year. He'll be slightly more effective at it, I think. And it sets up well because Arthur Smith, for all his faults, what he does do is he runs the highest percentage of 2 tight end sets in the NFL, which really benefits the run game. The Steelers are predicated on running game and defense. Literally, this is a perfect situation fit, talent, and he's young. He's 21 years old as Caleb Johnson. So I think this is 100% like smash trade all day, every day.
Well, and speaking of the double tight end set, one of those tight ends, Darnell Washington, could just as well be another offensive lineman. He is freaking massive.
That's literally why he's there, is for that system to be that player.
So love that. Try to hit some of these questions here.
Hold on. Can we just say that Chris Olave was the offensive rookie of the year 2 years ago, and he's not getting hospital balls from Carr anymore? Like, there's no way that I'm making
Tyler Suggs is a huge upgrade.
There's no way that I'm making that trade.
Okay, everybody.
Well, you're holding Olave.
I'm keeping Olave 10 times out of 10.
The comp for Tyler Suggs is? It's Derek Carr.
That's fine. There's no way that I'm taking Caleb Johnson there.
Derek Carr, and you're like, oh, but he's not having Derek Carr anymore. Like, yeah, he
Look,
is.
Everybody uses the hospital ball narrative. What do you think a rookie's gonna do? I mean, do you think a rookie's not gonna throw him over the middle and be a little wild on it? And
no, plus, I've been watching rookie level quarterback play for 4 years.
From catching the ball while he was falling out of bounds, bump his head on the ground, and he was gone for 4 games.
That happened to Malik Neighbors, and he's like the most sought after dynasty asset in the league.
All right, so there you go. A very mixed view. Joe thinks it's crazy. He would have kept Olave. The other 2 in the bottom are Caleb Johnson. So hope that the take helps. Next on the docket, thoughts on Rice this year. Is he a buy right now? Jack, you're shaking your head no. Tell us about that.
He's a sell for me. I mean, we're skipping ahead. We're getting all over the place. Fashionable one already stole one of my trade for candidates and Ricky Pearsall. And now we're getting into my second one, which is we are not worthy. Xavier Worthy is the Chiefs wide receiver that you actually want coming into his second year. Last year, it was like right there. That was how much you missed on like 50, 60-yard touchdowns with Patrick Mahomes. You had a year of chemistry, and Rashee Rice, people are acting like he's just going to be coming in off this devastating injury, and this suspension is just never going to happen. And just like, I don't know. I don't understand these weird narratives around Rashee Rice. Like, he is somehow like, he's basically just like an upgraded version of Juju Smith-Schuster. Like, he's not the be-all, end-all. Like, I don't understand. People are acting like Rashee Rice has like Brian Thomas Jr., Marvin Harrison Jr. talent.
Wait, are we talking about good needs Juju Smith-Schuster put up 1,400 yards in a season? Juju Smith-Schuster, because that guy was pretty good.
With the who hasn't put up 1,400 yards with the Steelers as a wide receiver? Mike Wallace, Antonio Brown lost his mind. Look what he did on other teams.
I mean,
Antonio Holmes. Do we have to go through the list of epic Steelers wide receivers that ultimately failed in the rest of the league? Like, what are we doing, man?
Look, I'm loving the heat.
Rashee Rice is a overrated possession wide receiver. He is T. Higgins. T. Higgins is super overvalued perennially also. So this is just T. Higgins in a Chiefs uniform, just going to be perennially overdrafted. He's coming off a devastating injury, so it's going to take him some time to get going this year. Like, there's just no way that you're going to get the full return on value this year. So, like, if you're a rebuilding team, ship him off somewhere else. Because he's being drafted ahead of Xavier Worthy in best ball currently. He's considered, I think, more valuable by most people, erroneously, in my opinion. Like, I see Xavier Worthy as the next version of Tyreek Hill, and he's ascending to that. And we saw it last year. They were trying to involve him in the deep stuff, and then they started getting him involved in like the gadget play stuff. And then we saw the explosion, but we saw it in the playoffs. And that's why a lot of like fantasy players who checked out mentally and were like, oh, blah, blah, blah. It's like, yeah, if you didn't win with the Xavier Worthy on your roster like I did at the end of the year, because I made that Amon-Ra trade for JT and Worthy, which put me over the top. If you didn't have that experience and you don't remember that playoff game where he just went nuts for like 150 and 2 tutties, like, man, I'm telling you, Xavier Worthy is coming into a breakout year this year, and I feel like it's being overlooked. He could finish as a legitimate top 5 wide receiver this year.
I will say, to your point, Jack, if you are somebody that if you believe in Rice, now is not the time to buy. They got the videos out there that's like, look how good his knee looks. Oh, he's going to be ready week 1. All of this stuff. ACL injuries, are non-linear. So he could be feeling good while he's doing stuff in shorts. I still feel good when I do stuff in shorts, but you know what? Like, it hurts the next day because that's what getting old's about. But if that suspension is looming, is it going to happen this year or not? Like, people don't have that fear right now. They think
did you say Xavier Worthy could be a top 5 wide receiver?
100%.
If that happens, I will come on this show and eat my hat.
All right, great.
Put it on the board. Put it on the board. Look, here's the deal, guys. And this is what I love. Okay, this is what I love about Dynasty. It's about your guys. Like, it's about the people you believe in. Like, for me, I'm a sell on Rashee Rice, and if his knee's looking good in camp and he's got all this possibility, great. Get him on my team. Cool, happy about it, right? Like, that's great. And so if I'm in a rebuild and I don't want to worry about suspension, I don't want to worry about if his knee's going to look great, and somebody's going, I'll give you a mid-first rounder for it or a late first rounder for it, sure, I will take it. I can get a ton of rookie wide receivers at that point that I like more than Rashee Rice.
Well, that's the thing. If you want to buy Rice, now is not the time. You need to wait until he has that slow start coming back with the knee injury. When the suspension comes out, like, now there's a lot of hopium out there about Rice.
Opium.
So it's a great time to sell. But if you are a believer, I'm all in on Rice. He's gonna basically take the Kelsey role. Xavier Worthy, the guy I want in best ball, but you don't want to buy him right now.
All right. We got to keep moving. We obviously got a lot in the chat. That SamWise guy about to eat his hat, and I'm here.
Man, I met you at the expo. Don't make me look. Don't make me hunt you down this year.
All
I
right,
would never hunt down Disco unless it was give him a hug, man.
Real quick, he said fair points. I traded him this morning. I traded for him this morning. I got Rasheed Ridley and a 26 first. Sent T, Waddle, and 2-5. So to Jack's point, you got you sent Rasheed to get Rasheed and T, and then you upgraded your second to a first. The only thing is I would have rather had Waddle than Ridley, but it's still a fine trade. It's a fine
Jack
trade.
would veto this trade because he hates so many people that are in it.
What?
First of all, I'm a never veto guy. I need to put that.
Same.
I gotta get up here and get Dylan's question. Urgent. It's urgent. Beep, beep, beep. Urgent trade help needed. Okay, which side? You got Marvin Harrison Jr., Luther Burden, and two 27 firsts. So you already have 2 firsts for 27, or Tet, Amarion, Shuck, and one 27 second.
Marv.
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to do for the next 2 years, like with that person that's trading the 2027 first, but that's an interesting trade. The Marv side.
2 2027 firsts.
And the 2026 class is not looking good. I'm just going to say that right now. I don't have a lot of excitement. 2027, that's when you have the Jeremiah Smiths, all those guys, like that's the first round draft picks that you want.
2026 is going to have some quarterbacks, but
quarterback for sure.
Skill positions are kind of weird.
And Tyler, I think that's an important thing. Like as a rebuilder, if you're just trying to accumulate capital and you're looking for players that you're going to be able to trade later for assets, especially right now when there's a lot of like unknowns about depth chart, how are rookies going to perform in camp? Follow the strengths of the draft. They're saying that this is the best running back class since 2017. If you have taxi spots or you have guys that we're going to talk about later for like cuts and things like that, stash up on these different running backs. If they pop off, you might not have a need for them. You might not be able to use them to help you really win games, but then those are players that you're going to be able to trade for good picks. So it's like, take those lottery tickets. Sam's saying, hey, next year's a good year for quarterbacks. Stash up on that. It's going to be a really tradable asset in Superflex. But don't go and just go against the grain because it's like, oh, well, I'm going to go and try to get a wide receiver in a weak wide receiver class. It's just not where you want to be.
No, 100%. I agree with that. Like last year was wide receivers. This year was running backs. Like we're saying, next year is going to be quarterbacks. It seems like you have to know the draft class. Because if you're just trading for a bunch of first round picks and then you get there and you're like, oh shit, I need running backs in a wide receiver draft, or I need wide receivers in a running. Like if you needed wide receivers this year, you were basically screwed. So like you needed to make sure that you like assessed like, oh, this is actually like a running back draft. And so like if you needed to stock up on running backs, which I had a couple rebuilding teams, I've got 2 rebuilding teams, like official rebuilding. And one of them was I took Genty, but then I also like kept hammering running backs with the rest of my picks because it's like I'm just gonna load up on these guys, hold them for a year or two, maybe trade a couple of them for value, maximize that when I can. But it's like I'm not going to just take wide receivers, because I feel like I need one. It's like, well, I'm not competing this year anyways. So why would I need a wide receiver? It's like, no, I'm taking the best players available and trading them. I'm maximizing the value. It's like we've said a couple of times, it's playing the stock market game of just always maximizing on the value of a player as opposed to like their individual situation.
When before the wide receiver draft, the year before, I jettisoned all my wideouts. I mean, I just waited till the contenders had identified themselves, and I sold them all. And then came back, and I ended up getting Neighbors and MHJ and and a Dunze. Like, I mean, I was just stocking up. And last year, at the end of the season, I jettisoned all my running backs. So you got to know what's coming, down the pipe.
Yeah, it's definitely. I mean, definitely a big point of rebuild is knowing, and in this trade, like so. Speaking to this trade specifically, because I want to make sure your question gets answered. You know, these convoluted trades. Let me tell you, the easiest way to win a trade is to just make it as many pieces as possible. And somehow people get lost in the muck and they're like, oh yeah, let's do this deal. Right. Like, and they think, oh, I'm getting so much, but I'm giving away my two best players. I mean, I watched a deal today go down that involved 6 players, the best of which was Dalton Kincaid. And I watched the best was Dalton Kincaid. And I watched the other team receive Brees Hall and Drake London. Like the top, it was crazy. It was like 7 players and a first round pick, and Drake London and Brees go away. And here's the thing: I always try to minimize it, right? Like let's talk about the position to the position, right? So, for one, if you're watching right now, make sure you hit that like button, make sure you sub, and you're awesome for doing so. But you look at the top wide receiver last season coming into the draft in Marvin Harrison, and you look at Ted, you look at Kyler Murray, you look at Bryce Young. Which do you want?
Marv.
Okay, so Marv. So, even if you say it's close, let's say it's close. Let's say Marv. Okay, now Amarian, right? So now we have Ted and Marv are tight, right? So then you got Shuck and a second, or you got Luther and 2 firsts. So Hampton, obviously Luther went after Hampton. So let's say Hampton for Luther and a first for 27. Which one do you want?
I hate Luther Burden. He's just not
doing it for me. The problem though is if you remove, I think Marv is actually so much better than Ted that if you remove him from the trade and then you say to me Luther and the 27 first for Omari and Shug and the seconds, I'm a little bit more hesitant, to be honest, because then I'm like, Omarion might be the best player in that version of the trade. And that's usually like my deciding factor is usually, am I getting the best player for in the trade? And for me, it's like, this is clearly like, again, we were talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. as potentially like the greatest wide receiver prospect in the history of wide receiver prospects. And now it's like people are down on him because he went for 808, which like
he's a
is
buy.
Not bad for a rookie season, to be perfectly honest. And now he's coming into his second year. He's put on weight. All the narratives are there.
He looks huge
for the sophomore breakout. And it's like, you're going to compare him to Tet, who would not have been even a first-round pick in last year's draft. Like,
whoa! Ted put up 1,400 yards as a freshman, man.
But compared to last year, again, compared to Malik Neighbors, BTJ, and
no, he would have been in the Adunze tier. BTJ was supposed to be like his yards per route run wasn't high enough, one-trick pony. Like, he farly out surpassed what we're thinking.
Well, that's for everyone else, because I had him. I was the BTJ guy last year. Like, that was my guy.
And Big Draft Energy in the house. I know he's talking a lot of BTJ last year as well. So I think we're saying Luther, Marv, and the 227 first are the top side. That's what we want.
Yeah, because I mean, you look at the running back too, because it's 2027. Now you're like two years away from that running back. It's like Hampton may have exceeded value by that point, but he won't have exceeded the value of Marvin Harrison Jr. at that time, in my opinion. And then you have the better draft picks.
Yeah, and I think we're getting a lot of the same thing. Luther and Marv's side, not even close. MHJ, great first year. We're good there. Let's move on and try to hit the next question. I just want to try to make sure we get everybody's. We got about 10 minutes left in the show, so make sure you drop those in. Make sure you hit the like button, notification bell. We are here every Friday night at 9:00 Central. Me, Joe the Man Frick, and whatever lovely guests decide to hop on with us. And the two guys tonight, you guys are killing it. Love it. So got Birds Builds says, I'm 6 people over roster limit, and I'm having problems getting league mates to bite on 2-for-1 trades. This is a real thing. And, trades with players including Tyreek Hill, Cup, and Swift, Roshan. Do you think I'm stuck holding? So here's my thought, and this is because I have a problem with building massive depth in my teams. Jack knows this. So they wait in this death row league for us to arrive to cut day every year. And they go, I'm not trading you because you're going to have to drop people anyways. And then I can just get them with Fab. And then I say, somebody's going to get them. I'm going to trade them. It may be for cheap, and maybe I send them to a bottom team for less or whatever. But I usually can end up drumming up something. But the key is in listening to the conversation. Like a lot of times the problem is you go in trying to sell who you want to sell. You've got a preconceived notion on the players that you want to try to sell, which is going to limit because the person that you're talking to probably doesn't want those players. So get them to go through your roster, like the players that they want, and then work from there. If you need to move 2 or 3, and Jack, you've been killer at this in Death Row, where you'll piece together 3 or 4 players that are really just somebody that maybe somebody's like mid on, right? Like they're mid on them, but they like them. And so you piece them together and then you send them out there, and then you bring home Justin Jefferson, to your team, and you really gave away not much at all. You elevated your roster. So in this, especially if you're so heavy that you are 6 people over the roster limit and you have people that you can move, overpay. Offer up something that seems like they are winning out of their mind, like they're just killing the trade, and get some studs. Like look at each. I always say this in fantasy: look at each roster spot and try to elevate points per roster spot. Points per roster spot. Okay, not just have a good player or a good name. Elevate points per roster spot. So if you've got sitting in there T. Higgins as a starter, right? But you can take T. Higgins and you can take Cooper Kupp, and then you can take Swift and Roshan, and you can sell those 4 players, and then you could bring home, Amon-Ra, or like I'm just naming somebody that seems kind of close in that deal. I don't think you're getting JJ, but like somebody like that, like Amon-Ra or something like that, do it, right? Like don't be afraid to overpay because you're going to have to do something with your roster anyways. And, Jack, you've done it a ton, overpaid. And I'm like, man, Jack got ripped on that. But then at the same time, you bring in the stud, of the trade.
Well, there's 2 ways of doing that I do it. And the one thing is people are really wise to the idea of 2-for-1, 3-for-1s, 4-for-1s. It's like people are wise to the idea of trying to send a bunch of mid players to upgrade to a star. So one of the things that I do if I find myself in the position of I'm trying to send my mid players for their star is I almost never send 2-for-1s or 3-for-1s anymore. In fact, I rarely even
send. They feel like you're trading them 4 quarters for $1.
Yeah, I rarely even send those. You know what I actually do? I go look at their roster and I look at all their crappiest players and I include them in the deal. Why? Because psychologically now it's 4 versus 4. So even though my 4 guys appear kind of like middle level, well, that middle level for 3 of those guys is so much higher than the 3 jabronis I put in the trade that it now seems like a much better value. And all of a sudden, this 4-for-1 deal goes through, and people are like, how is Jack always getting these studs? And it's because I look through the person's roster, and I look for throw-ins that either help my roster, backup tight ends, backup quarterbacks, whatever it might be, a wide receiver or running back handcuff kind of thing, or I just look for straight jabronis that I know I'm going to drop that guy as soon as this trade goes through. I don't care. I'll be the one to drop him, and then I'll go pick someone up off free agency, or I'll get a one of these undrafted rookies. Like, that's how I maximize trades. Is I just look at the jabronis that I think they're going to drop after the trade. I'm like, yeah, just put them in the trade. Make it 3 for 3. Make it 4 for 4. Make it look even. And psychologically, this is a trick that I promise you works so well compared to, Tyler sending his car salesman deals. But wear you down over time, and eventually you click accept because you're just sick of negotiating with them. It's like you get deals done with me. And again, I also take risks, and I really do look for a lot of like win-win deals on a roster where it's like, if you're getting the better wide receiver, I'm getting the better running back because you need a wide receiver and I need a running back. Sometimes it really is like that simple to find those win-win deals and then like take a little bit of a risk. So like last year I had Amon-Ra, and I was like, damn, I really need a running back, but I also can't afford to just lose a wide receiver. So I traded Amon-Ra and my 2026 first. I got back JT, Xavier Worthy, and then I made them throw in Tucker Kraft just so I could get some tight end depth. And I ended up trading Kraft for like a second round pick at some point. So it's like, again, these like always asking for throw-ins. A lot of times it's like, and now that deal is like, I'm sending the stud. I'm getting 3 players back that are supposed to be not as good. And Jonathan Taylor blows up the end of the season and wins me a championship. So it's like those kind of trades are the trades I really consistently make, where it's like, yeah, I'm taking a bit of a risk sending this stud away, but I'm making sure to get back what I need for my team to compete.
Well, I always like to also undercut myself I guess it'd be undercutting him, but know exactly what I'm willing to give up. Now that seems really obvious, but the next level is knowing exactly who they're going to ask for. When I traded away Justin Jefferson, and I tiered down to Ayuk before he got hurt. I got 4 firsts.
4.
2 of them were in the same year, and one of them was the 3rd pick. 2 more firsts and a second, and I just offered Justin Jefferson. And he was like, "Oh man, I don't know." And I was like, "I'll tell you what, you could pick one running back." And I knew he was going to take Devon Chain, and I hated Devon Chain. So I gave it to him. But I already knew that's the direction he was going to go. But it looks like I did him a tremendous favor. So he comes to me with trades all the time now.
And I think that's the point that Vince Mapstone was making. He said, I think it's important for trades to somewhat work both ways, need to keep the future communication lines open. And that's a thing because, like in the Death Row League, everybody knows, oh, here comes a Tyler trade. Like, and when all you do is win, that's what happens, but no, seriously, like sometimes it's okay to let somebody have a win. And especially when you have the depth, that's something that I've learned playing Dynasty, building really deep teams. So that's good. And you're getting a little love there. He said, I'm never afraid to take a loss in a trade if I know I get who I want, and you can get the favor back later. It's a long game. Don't have to win every deal. Sam knows me. And it's true. Dynasty is a long game. And, it's really important, like with these rebuilds, with these structures and how everything goes. So many Dynasty leagues don't make it past year 3. Right? Because they quickly get top heavy, they get loaded, and people don't know how to rebuild a roster. Right. And so hopefully from tonight's show, and we're kind of wrap it up here, we're at 10 o'clock. Make sure you guys hit the like button and the subscribe button. We appreciate you tuning in. But when you get into dynasty leagues, commit to it, hang in there. When you do these rebuilds, smart moves, and don't be afraid to, hopefully you grabbed a lot in this conversation, because there's been some really strong concessions of theory of how to enter into rebuilds and dynasty trades, like some really good stuff. Jack, Sam, man, I appreciate y'all so much. If you would, real quick, just let the audience know where they can find you if they want to follow your content.
Absolutely. You can find me on Player Profiler or on Twitter at Buy and Sell You. During the season, I will have a redraft show every Tuesday night called Fantasy Whiplash. That will be just as much entertainment as much as it is stats and shit. And I'm not wearing the shirt. I should pimp Fast Draft. If you're not playing Fast Draft, do it. There are all kinds of promos. It takes 5 minutes to set rankings and then 5 minutes to get your teams. You just tell it how many teams you want to draft. It's $5 a team. You can turn that into 10 grand at the end of the season. And every Friday there's promos like draft 10 teams. That's $50, and he'll credit your account with 100. Or you can go on anytime and get a match 50 for 50. I know you have Jeremiah on here. Don't make fun of my hand movements.
Oh, I was just trying to do the math for
Jeremiah's
getting
like
50
this.
for putting in 50 and getting 100 back. That was just me trying to count with my fingers.
Yeah, I mean it's awesome. It's awesome. And but anytime you can put in 50 and get a $50 match by using the promo code WHIP. WHIP.
Whip.
Love it. And Jeremiah's so funny. He reminds me of Will Ferrell. Like, I don't know what to do with my hands. Jack, let them know where they can find you.
Well, you're going to find the relaunch in mid-July, late July at the latest, but we're redoing the whole channel. We're coming back strong. It's going to be all best ball all of the time, but I'll still leave up the old content, and you can still find it currently at the Worst Sports Channel on YouTube.
Love it. And as you guys know, you can find me and Joe the Man Frick at fantasysportsadvice.com, the Fantasy Sports Advice Network. Man, again, thank you guys so much for coming in and being on the show. You deserve a round of applause. And we'll see all you wonderful ladies and gents next week, 9:00 Central from the Forum. Have a good weekend and good luck this season.
My DMs are open.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com today.
That's hilarious. He said my DMs are open. I'm cracking up.
Yeah, I never got to do my bit.
Listen, I get so many dynasty questions in my DMs. I should have let you have the last word, but I forgot to say it when I signed.
We are here. FantasySportsAdvice.com, offering the best fantasy sports social media platform. Why join endless Discord communities or the trolls of Reddit? Fantasy Sports Advice is a community designed to help you win with 24/7 support. Go to FantasySportsAdvice.com and become a pro member for unlimited access. Again, go to FantasySportsAdvice.com